Hello, welcome to Loremaster's Lair. I'm your Loremaster, here today to continue our deep space exploration. We have officially finished up with the Pack World system, so we are moving on to the Veskarium, starting with an introduction to the system as a whole. So, with that being said, let's get started. The history of the Veskarium, also known as the Gabaniska system after its son, starts with the Vesk, one species who lived on the planet closest to said sun. There was war between the Veskarium tribes. However, seeing the potential for more, Eschovosk the Farsighted united the Vesk under the banner of the god the Mortosh, leading them to begin conquest of the planet. First, they defeated the hyena-like Sokashens head-on, then the hidden and manipulative Kaigawas, wiping both species out. Then, seeing more planets to conquer, they invented spaceflight and conquered every other species, though these they allowed to live under their rule. By the time of the gap, the entire system was part of the Veskarium. Which, while we are here, let's talk about today's first side tangent. The Vesk's main god, the Mortosh, the Grim Commander. Which I was surprised I had not used as a side tangent yet, but according to my record, it's still fair game, so whatever. The Mortosh is a god of war, who teaches conquest and conflict are the reality of the universe, and sacrifices are needed to push one's kind forward. He teaches his followers to fight and show courage so that they can be remembered for generations, or else die no one. The strong should naturally dominate the weak, and diplomacy, well, that has no place. After the gap, like all people, there was disarray, but the meticulous pre-gap records were there to have the Vesk establish command and retake their planets relatively quickly. That said, they were apparently fighting someone during the gap, but no records of that survived. The Vesk, for some reason, missed Triune sending out information on drift technology, but a Pact World ship found them. They reverse engineered the technology and started an attempt to conquer the Pact Worlds. Known as the Silent War, the two solar systems would fight until the appearance of the Swarm. Both sides knew they would need to work together to survive, and so formed an alliance to push back the Swarm. Then, the alliance just kind of stayed in place. Both sides are prepared for the alliance to fall apart one day, but for now the two groups are at a peace that neither really knows what to do with. The Veskarium is on a different calendar than the Pack World system. Their cycle is divided into 10 months, each with 91 days, and named after legendary Vesk heroes, and a half month of 48 days, which is a holiday when all fighting ceases and soldiers go to see their families. There is a 7-day week, which lasts 13 weeks for a month. Which brings us to our second side tangent, the Vesk Saints. While the Mortosh is the head god of the Vesk, some of the greatest Vesk warriors are revered as saints and are held as an example of what all Vesk should strive to be. Usually, these saints end up dying before they can accomplish their goal, so the Mortosh brings them back as a chance to achieve it. In their victory, they remain immortal as demigods. There are great conquerors like Emperor Eschovosk, who united the Vesk, Empress the Lair, who conquered Vesk II and began the interplanetary empire. There's High Despot Monteresh for her tactical genius, Renamori the Unkillable, who lasted several minutes and killed her attacker when she was poisoned and should have suffered an instant death. Natortir Worldbender is known for his magical prowess. Yagesh the Whaled for deeds which remain classified to this day. Even some non-Vesk are treated and tested and achieve demigodhood, like the Skidamander Anpa. The main ancestry of the Veskarium are the Vesk, but they are not the only ones. While they wiped out the Edda species on their home planet, they have allowed Eddas on Edda planets in the Veskarium to live. These include the Ejokris, the Skidamanders, formerly the Pathos, the Taufi, and the Koth'Amas. But while we are here, let's take a closer look at the Vesk as Side Tangent 3. Vesk are warm-blooded lizard people. They tend to possess green scales as well as powerful muscles, jaws, and claws. Only a small amount have spines running down their back, and it's usually seen as an omen of greatness. The average height is 7 feet among the species. Vesk live in matrilineal societies, with the same clutch of eggs usually spending their whole lives together, many even working to form their own unit in the military or a mercenary band. Due to their militant history, they tend to believe they are greater than other species. But not all of them join the military or worship the Mortosh, just most of them. For the Veskarium, military is everything. They are run by a council made up of 9 high despots, each leading one of the planets, and is a lifetime position, though dying in glorious battle is not as common as it used to be. So, usually they retire and then go somewhere to find their death. During times of war, the council elects an emperor to lead the empire, but such a position is left empty in boring times of peace. Outside of despots, positions are named after and treated like the normal ranks of military officers. And they only have one branch of military, the army. Then there are 3 divisions which have specialties within the structures. The division of criminal extirpation, or the Hammers, who are police who deal with threats to the order within the empire. The division of disloyal organizations, which works to weed out groups from outside the Vesk and Veskarium, whose actions threaten the Veskarium, as well as certain cults. And third, the Intelligence Division, Section 9. Section 9 will be our final side tangent for today. Claimed to have originated back with the spy masters of Eshbak the Farsighted, the name refers to conquest of the 8 Veskarian worlds and the 9th as a nebulous beyond. The Industry is a shadow of the glory-seeking of regular Vesk, their headquarters being a small wing instead of a large building. They break the common hierarchy for the sake of efficiency, believing that those who are in the field and in the heat of battle should know best of how to act in that situation. They, of course, are similar to other spy networks, but with some differences, like, for example, them being open about the unseen and encourage reporting of them, as opposed to how other governments try to keep them covered up. But in all they do for the Veskarium, and to eliminate those who would harm the peace. The Vesk have a history of adopting the cultures of people they conquer, allowing the cultures of the people of all planets to continue to exist even after the assimilation of the entire solar system. That said, it's still the military which dominates daily life, and the entire social structure is built around proving oneself to advance. But they still see themselves as honorable people, and refuse to dishonor themselves just to win and conquer. Of course, it would not be me unless I ended this talk about religion. As mentioned before, the Mortosh and his saints are the main religion of the entire Veskarium. Because of their home planets closest to the sun, however, there is also a decent portion of Vesk who worship Sanre under the name of the Fire Scale, with other non-Vesk and non-military citizens also flocking to her. Vesmara is a deity popular among the mercenaries in the region, and Talavat has some following among the civilian populations. And that brings us to the end of today's video. We will start going more in depth into the Veskarium in the future, but for next week, we'll be returning to Golarion for more closely examining things there. See you then.